Sure. Counselor Dobbs,
Here.
Counselor Perry,
Here.
Counselor Moulton,
Here.
Member Cutler,
Here.
and Member Moses.
Here.
All right. And this is a notice that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a comment? Oh, Chris Stratton, a future city councilor.
But still a private citizen until next month. Yeah, I hadn't actually seen if comment was on the agenda, but since I'm here and you're allowing it, I will say that we're obviously seeing a demonstration of concerns about the snow ordinance out there right now. I've heard about things at the corner of Holly and Phillips, that lot that, that church parking lot that's going to be built on. Apparently that's not clear. I saw a spot on King Street heading up to Damon Road on, I guess, the northeast side by the gas station and the last car dealership. So that's just a very current thing in the whole way that we learned, I guess, back in October that, the preference is to issue warnings, but there isn't really any tracking of where a warning has been issued, so there's no follow-up. Um, I don't know that it's the ordinance that needs to change, but we need to find some way to kind of keep track of where the warnings have been issued and what the low labor way to do that is that doesn't, distract a lot of public safety resources, but just to have that information come back somehow, so at least we can see where there's been, repeat issues, which some of the things I mentioned, I think are believed to be repeat. So, don't want to take up much of your time, but just say that, that's something that a lot of the city is really thinking about today. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Then the next item is to review the minutes from November 12th, 2025. And looks like the minutes from November 19th are not available. Is that correct?
Right, they're like halfway done, so.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from?
Yes. I move approval of the November 12th minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Council Moulton, seconded by Dane. So roll call, please.
Sure. Counselor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Moulton,
Yes.
Member Cutler,
Yes.
and Member Moses.
Yes.
Great. Those minutes pass unanimously. Next is the update on housekeeping changes needed to adopt gender-neutral language. And then Molly, would you like to take this?
Sure.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
So, Laura Kretzler, thank you for emailing everyone the Excel spreadsheet that I have been working on. I want, before I continue it, and it looks as if I've gotten through the whole thing, but really I started, I'm doing Control F for different searches to pick up different pronouns that we might be looking to shift. And Ace Taylor had also identified a number, and so I cross-checked there as well. So currently what I've been doing is writing down what the ordinance is. I can, one question is, would it be helpful to the council if I included the header, the title of that ordinance as part of the spreadsheet, or is that unnecessary?
Mhm.
I mean, it's either I'm doing that legwork or someone else is doing that legwork. It doesn't really matter.
Question.
Oh, sorry, Council Perry?
Again, this is my first time doing this, but I would think all the help that you can provide would be great, because I learned that our phenomenal solicitor has volunteered himself to kind of compile stuff. So I think anything we could do to help streamline this work, I'd be pro. But I see he raised his hand.
Alan?
I'm not really sure I understood the question. Are we talking about putting headers on the columns here?
So do you happen to have the Excel spreadsheet?
I do. I'm looking at it.
Okay. So it currently says ordinance, chapter or subheader, and then I could put in like the name of the ordinance, before current language and just, have those bolded names so that someone knows like this is talking about the fire chief or this is talking about such and such, just basically going in the text.
Probably would be helpful, just so you know that, my intention is to just attach this as an exhibit.
Mhm.
I'm not, I'm not going to recreate the wheel here. So,
Great. Mhm.
yeah, that probably would be helpful.
All right. And with that, when I first was working on it, I had some ... so that it was only including the part of each ordinance that needed to be changed, if it was half of a sentence or so. I don't know whether whether I should actually be writing out or copying over that whatever sub ordinance in full, just like this is what the entire new sentence should be. Don't need that.
I don't think we need that. I think that as long as it's evident where in the section or subsection the language is going to be changed, I don't think you need to reprint the entire subsection.
Okay. So I have been highlighting in red the pieces that are relevant. And so everyone knows what Ace Taylor had suggested was moving all of the gendered pronouns to using they, them as singular pronouns. And I went with a mix of my own expedience as well as textual clarity. So there are times in the way that I've proposed changes where like I think the first one is maybe a good example with the signature. If the written signature of a person is required, it shall always be that person's own handwriting, which felt important to make sure it was specified it was that person. Or if they are unable to write, it felt very clear that they would be correctly understood as a referent, that person's mark. So there are times where I'm using they, them, and times where I'm not. Similarly, if the fire chief, instead of or their designee rejects these plans, if the fire chief or the chief's designee rejects these plans, but then no person shall keep or allow to be kept in any building or on any premises of which they may be the owner or occupant. So it's not always one way or the other, but basically there are practices where one would rewrite an entire sentence to avoid having any pronouns at all. And given that I'm not the author of the original ordinances and also trying to do this quickly, felt important to stay sort of as true to the original while shifting the pieces that will bring us in line with current practice. If anyone has any questions or concerns about that, I'm happy to hear them, knowing that at some point I might say, great, this was one wheel, I would like to not recreate it. Someone else is welcome to edit it further.
Alan?
As I go through this, this is going to be something that probably needs to be able to be printed in hard copy and be legible, and I'm not really sure how to do that because I'm older than Garrick is, and I have no idea how to do that. But the way this is looking now, I'm trying to. I'm not really. Do you understand the issue here? We need to be able to read the whole thing in hard copy.
Molly?
Yeah, so I wasn't sharing the Google document itself because of our open meeting laws.
Okay.
I am working on a back end version of this that I can do my best to format in a way so that the text wraps. It's a table where you can really see each column and what it's part of. For sure, it's an important and appropriate request.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Molly.
Great work. Really great work.
Definitely great work, yes. Okay, all right, so we can move on to the next. Formulating recommendations on the sign ordinance update, snow removal ordinance, and the mobile food vehicle ordinance. Does anyone have a preference to the order in which we talk about these? Councilor Moulton?
Well, I just on the sign ordinance, I think we're there. I think
Okay.
the only additional work that we had talked about was on the sandwich board signs, and we didn't really get to it. So I'm happy to submit what the final version of Director Mish's revisions are that we reviewed, I believe, in October.
Excellent. Councilor Perry?
Yes, and so I did talk with some of the local businesses about that, and there's interest to discuss it. There doesn't seem to be the time to do it in order to put forward our recommendations. So maybe a footnote that there should just be another discussion about that specific portion of it.
Sandwich boards.
Sandwich boards, yes.
Yes. Yes, I agree. A footnote would be great, and I think it should note that this came from the building department, just for the future discussion by counselors or whoever.
Okay, thank you. Great work. Well, Laura, I was wondering if you might be able to share, if we could like look at those photos that I shared with you a little while
Sure.
ago. So, today about around 3:30, I wanted to get some coffee at Catalpa, which is down the street from my apartment. And I took photos of all of the curb cuts on the way there. And I had to ride in the middle of the street the entire way to Catalpa. There was only one curb cut that I was able to get over to access the sidewalk that leads to Catalpa. So I was able to get my coffee, thankfully. But I had to ride in the middle of the street in order to get there and get home. And cars were honking at me, and it was ridiculous. And so I feel like a lot of the time I say things and people just think that, oh, this is just Jeremy's opinion or his perspective. So I took these photos to show you how impossible it is to get on sidewalks when it snows. This is a day after, and no one's been fined for that. No one was fined for that, and it was not cleared. Still, can we move to the next one?
Sure.
Yeah, that's outside of the Chamber of Commerce, right there
Let's see, 1 second, there we go.
on Pleasant Street. That's the photo I took outside from my window when I woke up today. You can see that there's an area of sidewalk that's cleared, but then the curb cut at the crosswalk is completely unclearable on both sides.
Hmm.
That's why I don't leave my house in the winter. Could you go to the next one? This is right at outside of the laundromat. You can see there's a woman trying to shovel there, but it's basically impossible to get all that. She needs help. I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. Obviously, I couldn't get up there. This is, I think, around Randolph Place. Again, that's the crosswalk there and the curb cut. You can't even see it because it's covered with snow. Again, so this is next to my apartment building. This is the 155 apartment building, completely uncleared.
I can go to the other pictures.
Yeah, there's one more email. Thank you.
Oh, I thought I got all 5 there. Was it one I
Oh, yeah,
missed?
that was all 5 on that one, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's like 3. Yeah, one more email. Yeah.
Here. Here it is. Here it is. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So again, that's the other side of Randolph Place. The curb cut completely, and the sidewalk too, not usable at all. And I wonder how long it's going to be that way. No one's clearing it right now. That's the driveway, right, that I would normally be passing through on the sidewalk to get to Catalpa. But I had to, obviously I was in the street, so I couldn't go, so, because I was in the street because I knew I wouldn't be able to go through that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that's a curb cut in the same area.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't like to complain. I literally became a city councilor so that I could do something about this. And every year, I feel like I just get gaslit by people. So that's why I'm on this committee. So I don't know what our recommendations should be. I personally think that somebody should be out there monitoring. That there should be a position that we have in the city, whether it's a parking enforcement officer or someone else that's going out there and checking these properties, because I shouldn't have to go out there and endanger my life to do it, and neither should any other disabled person. So we have a letter from the Disability Commission that I'd like to include as a recommendation for the parking enforcement officer to monitor properties. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but that's all I got right now. I'm hoping that I can get some help from people. Councilor Perry?
Uh, First off, I agree with you. You shouldn't have to go and do fact finding. And I'm thankful for the time you and I had to talk earlier this week about this, because it really has sat on me about accessibility for everyone. Um, Part of what I would like is, I think this is more than an ordinance issue. It's an enforcement issue. It's a community issue. It's a big thing. So I would like to present to the rest of the committee some things we talked about, if that's all right, Jeremy.
Of course, yeah.
Is maybe having or suggesting, obviously we cannot in this body create different bodies, but maybe suggesting that parking and transportation really look at this. And I would wholeheartedly hope that we would agree that someone from the Disability Commission could be a part of that conversation as well. So the reason why I wanted to kind of nestle it in parking and transportation is you have some of the people involved who already came to present at this committee, which is the director of public works, our chief of the police department. So that is something that I would hope that we could suggest is maybe assigning folks to really delve into how to solve this problem in a bigger picture. I will pull back, let some other people speak, and then I'll come back again.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do agree that the continued conversation about this is really important. So, Councilor Moulton.
First of all, Councilor Dubs, I appreciate over the last 2 years your advocacy on this issue. It has made me see it in a different way. I too I went out this afternoon for coffee. As an able-bodied walker, I walked down State Street, and it's 95% compliance is not enough. We need 100% compliance, because every little piece of sidewalk that is not cleared makes it impossible for many people to be mobile. And it's to me, it used to be a nuisance. Now I'm seeing it as a real public health issue. So I think I agree with you. I agree with Councilor Perry. It is we need a multi-pronged solution to this that in part, as Councilor Perry says, it's better tracking of the enforcement.
Yeah.
And I think we discussed when we had the forum on this, the possibility of designating someone not in public safety to be the sort of central clearinghouse for keeping track of who's getting warned, who's getting fined. But beyond that, it's an education issue, and I think there's opportunities for partnerships with organizations or looking at how we can offer help to those people who simply cannot clear the sidewalks.
Thank you. I completely agree. Molly.
There's Councilor Dubs. I just want to acknowledge that though I cannot personally know the range of emotions that might come up with this issue, the fact that it is deeply personal and deeply emotional, and just to honor what it takes to present it in a way, especially if gaslighting is happening, where to be like taken seriously and really just state facts. And I just want to acknowledge the inner labor that is going on whenever you or other people are talking about it.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, like I've had to think about it or learn how to communicate it for the past few years, without getting too angry, and so
And
to make,
just to say that the anger is real and valid.
yeah, thank you.
and
And
and so is whatever fear and anything else that comes with.
thank you. Yeah, and it's like I don't want anyone to think that I'm like attacking anyone in the city for not. It's not about criticizing or thinking that someone's not doing their job. It's about like this system. We need to just like work on it and make it stronger to so that we can all work together to make it better. So, yeah, thank you for saying that.
Just one piece that has no solutions with it, but just a noticing from looking at the pictures is noticing that so some of the hardest to clear places seem to be from the work of the city snowplows. And thinking about, I know that shovelers have a certain length of time to clear the property, and what happens when someone shovels at night? They come out in the morning, the snowplows have come through and pushed snow from the street that didn't originate in their property onto the curb cut. And some of those pictures also, it seemed like some of the barriers were still in the city street. It wasn't even on that person's
Exactly.
property. And so those are the pieces where it seems like a mixed, I do not mean this in any technical way, a mixed liability, where it's almost like the snow gets pushed this way, then gets pushed that way. And so there's a piece that's enforcement for residents, and then there's also what can the city do to I don't know, follow-up work, which of course would be very labor intensive, but what actually makes the pathways clear and not just clear for cars.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would love there to be more help, following up on these areas because some of this, like in those pictures that I showed, like I don't know when those spots are going to get cleared. Last time it was over a week later. Last time we had a storm, it was over a week later. So, Council Perry.
So do I be back? Something that Jeremy and I talked about before everyone joined was my concern about even downtown where there are businesses who try and clear their walks, but there is an empty storefront, a private place. And so I think that also should be taken into account. So again, our job is not to solve all the issues, but I just want to point out that there is a community aspect. Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
There's a community aspect. So part of my recommendation is to find a place to continue this discussion, but also figure out ways in which the city can address when there are vacancies in our downtown. I don't know how that works, but I just wanted to have that be on the record.
Yeah, no, I think that should be included also in our report. Yeah, so how are people feeling about like what we should do with this? I liked Councilor Perry's suggestion about referring it to transportation and parking. Councilor Moulton.
I agree with that as well. Could we just take a look at the existing ordinance, Laura? Could you screen share the current ordinance? And I just want to see if there's any language, particularly Councilor Doves, that you feel should be strengthened or changed in some way.
Okay.
Laura, you're muted.
Okay, I'm finding it. Let me share it right now.
I do know that one thing the ordinance doesn't cover right now is what you should do if you are physically incapable of shoveling your own sidewalk. It just says you have to have it cleared.
That's true. I mean, that is an element that needs to be that should
That is
definitely.
something that I'm trying to think of. I'm trying so hard to think of what is in the scope of the ordinance. How can we help by changing the words on this paper, right? And I do think that one of the things that could be helped with words on paper is putting down some words for what happens when you can't.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Um,
Oh, where'd it go?
While you're looking for that, I would say, Dane, I agree with you, but I don't know what words we put down.
I I don't either. And it could be that the suggestion we end up making is here is the gap. We need to figure out how to fill it. The gap is that we don't know how to address people who physically cannot clear their sidewalks or pay to have them cleared.
um, so it's like one of my thoughts that I was having today as I was just like looking at all the uncleared areas, is I think a lot of it has to do with people maybe not knowing who's supposed to do a certain, like, for example, the curb cut outside of my building and then the one across the street at Deals and Steels. Like, I was just wondering, like, does Deals and Steels know that they're supposed to do that curb cut? Because like, and like, does Hampton Court where I live, do they know that they're supposed to do the curb cutouts? You know what I mean? Because those are
Yeah.
always the areas that don't get touched. Is mainly the curb cuts and yeah, where the people where wheelchairs or people with mobility issues go up and off of the sidewalk. Those are the places that most often don't get touched. Uh, Chris Stratton.
Yeah, I'm realize I'm kind of jumping in from the outside here,
That's
but
okay.
I think there are two varieties of this issue. I mean, right across the street from me on a little stub of sidewalk, there is a curb cut that was never shoveled. That's very clear. But there are also these ones that were shoveled and then, plowed into. And the language that's actually not there is any obligation to like come out and clean up again after the plow. So that could be an interesting area. Yeah, it does get complex because, somebody thinks they're done and then the plow comes through at midnight or something, and then the next morning it's not done effectively, and, you can't get out of your building. And that's a very, very real issue with the sequence of operations there. But, the ordinance doesn't really say, what happens if it's not new snowfall, but plowed snow. So that could be an area that's interesting. Um, with regard to the vacant buildings, I mean, I think the ordinance really assigns the responsibility to the property owner. And, if a lease is if a space is not leased, then, the property owner might be delegating it to their tenant, their commercial tenant. But if it's not leased, I would assume that the responsibility is still with the property owner. So, I will chime out now.
Thank you, Chris. Any thoughts on that? Okay. Um. Oh.
I would go.
Sorry, I didn't see you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go,
because
go
we
for
got
it.
things. And before we get back into it, is that I actually see correlation between what Dane is saying and what I was bringing up about, um, a vacant building versus someone who can't uh, clear the property, whether they're injured, whether they're on vacation. Um, there's that gap in there. And for me, what I'm getting from this ordinance is its safety, it's accessibility. And so, yes, if the property owner is responsible, you could fine them, but that does not help anyone in our city with accessibility issues. And that's the crux I'm trying to get around is how to help people. Um, and again, I don't have the answer, but I think maybe we could put a note that should be something that folks look at. And it goes back to having a central database of complaints, issues, because then you could see how many times, for instance, a vacant property owner has not been compliant. You could see that if, in your street, there's a couple who has health issues who can't plow their or shovel their walk. We'll have data. So I just wanted to bring that to attention.
Thank you. Yeah. Can we look at C a little bit? Can you scroll down just a little bit and see, so we can see more of C there? Upon neglect or violation, such duties may be performed by the Director of Public Works or his or her designee at the expense of the persons liable to perform those duties. Attorney Sewell.
I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead. I just want, whenever you're done, I just want to go back to the crosswalks and clearing them after the snow has been pushed back on them. So
Yeah, go for it. I was just kind of pointing out that there is something in there about, like what it, if someone doesn't do it, but currently we don't.
right.
The DPW doesn't do that though. Yeah.
So if I'll just say what I had to say. Section A says that the owner's responsible, including any curb, ramp, cut, shall after snow has ceased falling thereupon, or whenever snow shall have collected or deposited upon such sidewalk. So I believe that covers the crosswalk or the curb cut when the plow pushes it back out of the street onto the curb cut, even though it's been cleared, whenever deposited. So that's in there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like. Sorry, were you going to say more?
I was going to say, you can take to the bank that your landlord knows and Deals and Steels knows. They all know what their responsibilities are.
Okay, well, I will take you for take your word on that. So, I mean, it seems to me like the language is there. Like it is like if this ordinance was followed to the T, then we would have clear sidewalks after by the time we're supposed to, and so I'm still having a hard time, like because it's clear to me that we're just not doing what this ordinance is telling us to do because the language is there, and if we followed it, then we would be in complete compliance with federal law, ADA. So I'm I'm having a hard time because I want to make recommendations that are gonna lead to improved snow removal, but I don't know what it's like. I think that there should be someone monitoring. I think this is a big part of it that there should be someone monitoring the sidewalks and the curb cuts after a storm and the days following that. That's like the main recommendation that I can think of that would actually lead to something, because right now there's no one looking at the sidewalks that I just sent you pictures of. I'm the only one doing it. Molly?
If we are not going to move in the direction of the city taking more leadership in the actual clearing of snow, which I understand is not the direction of the current moment, and I'm curious if anywhere else in the ordinances there's similar language to, and again, this would require a person enforcing, like at the first offense, there will be a note slipped into someone's mailbox. At the second offense, like such and such will happen. Basically some way where it's not just a fine, not in order to make it less of a financial impact on the person who hasn't shoveled, but more that at least once each season, it basically amounts to a public awareness campaign for anyone who might not already be knowing or thinking about it.
Council Perry?
Yes, Molly, you hit, I think, the crux of how difficult this is that an ordinance is only as good as enforcement. So there's two different parts. We all know that the city council cannot direct any employees to do anything. Most ordinances are self-reporting, or not self-reporting, but someone being like, this happened. Because if you look at just where Jeremy took pictures, that's just a short distance to get coffee. Grow that to the entire city, and um, that's the tough part to wrestle is, do we expect the city to have someone whose job is to just drive around every day when it snows, to report at certain times, or how do we marry the ordinance with enforcement? And I'm not trying to knock anyone down, but that's what I struggle with. Is again, it comes to safety, because from Jeremy's pictures, it's hard to get a cup of coffee. Imagine being on a street where you don't have many other options to traverse from your house, and you're on a road that people are driving real fast, and you're there. So that's just a statement.
Councilor Moulton?
Um, and that is a very relevant statement, Councilor Perry. But I mean, so how do we do it? I think it's demonstrating the political will. We have created a climate action program that is producing huge results for the city. I think on a not as large a scale as that, but I think by creating an office that is responsible for the monitoring that has been mentioned, as well as a central database, and having a staff person devoted to that will go a long way. The other thing I wanted to ask, when I want to go back to, do we make any changes in the language? Councilor Dubs drew our attention to subsection C. If we could get that back on the screen, Laura. I'm wondering if that's misleading and should be removed from the ordinance.
That's a good idea.
Because it suggests, or it could suggest, I think, that someone who's unable to or unwilling to clear their sidewalk leaves it to the DPW to do, and okay, if they bill me, I'll pay whatever they bill me. But that's not happening, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. In fact, the DPW, as has been pointed out, comes back, plows after clearing has been done, and is creating the need for a second clearing. So if we make a change, I would suggest removing subsection C.
I would support that change. Any other thoughts? Councilor Perry?
Yes. Thank you for pointing out this, both of you, Jeremy and Stanley. Just so I get this right, Stan, you're saying that because people believe the DPW will clear their way in this language, that means that they just don't do it. Is that what we're kind of getting at?
I believe that it could be misleading, that subsection.
Well, yeah, when I did, there was that meeting that I had in the mayor's office a few months ago, and Director Lascalia was there, and she said flat out that the DPW does not do that. We don't. So I mean, so that part, so C is not really relevant.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So why should it be there, I guess, is the question. Yeah. Attorney Sewell?
Because it gives the DPW the authority to do that if they, jump in and see a situation where they really need to do something. It gives them the authority to do that.
Okay.
And maybe we should make it more painful for the landowner if the DPW does that, but I wouldn't take that language out. I don't think that's a good idea whatsoever.
All right, we're getting a thumbs up from Chris Stratton too. So,
I got one vote at council next year.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I
That's
hear
exactly
that.
what I was going to say. So,
And I'm going to say again, as long as I've got the floor, fining does not clear the sidewalks. Period. Just issuing fines does not clear sidewalks.
Well, yeah,
anything-
no, I agree with, I know.
and I just, I don't want people to be disappointed. We get a regime to start issuing tickets, and meanwhile, the sidewalks aren't cleared.
Yeah.
You know,
And and
sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off. It's like I do agree with you. Like I don't really care personally if somebody gets fined or not. All I want is the sidewalk to get clear.
correct. That's
So if there's someone monitoring, couldn't they just like tell that person, like give them, be like, yo, this is not clear. You got to clear it now. Like just tell them. Can't we just do that? I don't know. Council Perry.
I would agree with Solicitor Seawald is that finding does not clear sidewalks and its safety is where we're at. But going back to Dane's point is that instead of removing it, maybe we could add some language that says if you need assistance, and I don't want to step on the DPW's toes, so don't quote me as saying the DPW has to do that, but maybe we can look at ways in which if you are unable to clear it, so it's not misleading, but if you need help, there is a way to contact the city to
Oh
get
yeah,
that
I mean
assistance.
that would be amazing. Yeah.
My suggestion.
And then at that point, we could figure out how we're going to help those people. It's not necessarily the DPW. It could be, Northampton neighbors or somebody that's willing to help those people. Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I think there should be some language in there about that. I would agree. Dane, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry, I thought you did.
A little while ago, it got
Okay.
addressed.
Council Moulton.
Well, we could add that language once there's a protocol established for where to get that help. It's not going to be the DPW.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that could be like a recommendation we make for something that we continue to investigate and come up with a solution for. All right. Yeah.
Well, as Councilor Perry said, if we refer this to whatever body, that should be one of the goals. I mean, we can specify here are X number of goals that
I like that.
are priorities for this group to address.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you. Attorney Sewell?
Can we frame that in recommending to the city council that it be referred? Because this committee cannot refer anything to the council committee.
Gotcha.
Right.
Just a fine point.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Molly?
I'm sorry, I don't have the ordinance open in this moment. Is there already language around for private residents to report uncleared sidewalks?
That's actually a good question because I was thinking about that earlier today too. Well, I mean, because we have a form on the website to report uncleared sidewalks, but that's not mentioned in the ordinance. So maybe that,
Okay.
I don't know. Is that, Attorney Sewell, is that a thing that could be added?
So the city council sets the policy, and the policy is cleared sidewalks. It sets the fines. The executive is going to have to figure out how that's going to happen. I know that the mayor's office is working on software that will assist in all of this and track, complaints but I don't get too far into the weeds because things change very quickly.
Mhm.
And what you think is the state of the art now may not be in a year. And these ordinances are, at least for the next 5 years, because nobody's going back to this for the next 5 years at least. So just understand that you don't want to get too finely detailed, and because the executive is going to have to figure out how best to carry out the policies that the city council sets.
Thank you. Council Perry?
Yes, I want to mirror what Solicitor Seawald said is that I think we've had a really good, robust discussion, and we're not going to solve this. Again, my recommendation is to send it to at least the parking and transportation. Personally, I think that there might need to be a subcommittee for it, but I don't want to tell them what to do because there's only one subcommittee of that. Yes, there's only bicycle and pedestrian, and it reminds me what Seawall said is when we're looking at the electric bikes situation, is that that's another thing that came before us, but we're trying to figure out how to regulate that now, but also think towards the future, because we have watched in the last few years electric bikes go from kind of a thing here and there to them zooming along. So to go back to my point is I would suggest we recommend it to parking and transportation and have some addendums, like as Councilor Moulton said, is here's some goals to make it accessible for people, to educate. I think that Molly said, like, education is key. So maybe that would be what I would recommend this body to say. Is that
Yeah. That sounds good to me, and I wouldn't mind also an addendum that we're recommending someone to monitor the properties after a snowstorm. I wouldn't mind that, just being a goal that we look at. Okay, I feel good about that. Does anyone else have any other thoughts they'd like to share? Okay, well, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. How about the mobile food vehicle ordinance?
Could-
Sorry, Alan?
Just as the person who's going to have to put this on paper, are you going to be taking votes on whether exactly what the recommendation is? There should be a vote on this.
Okay. Then let's do that. Councilor Perry, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we recommend the snow removal ordinance. How do I say this? Be addressed by the Parking and Transportation Committee with certain goals that we will specify. I don't want to exactly say it, if that's acceptable.
With the goals of clarifying the scope and purpose of the ordinance, because I can't say enforcement.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I didn't quite catch that.
I think I got it, Garrick.
Oh, sorry.
So the motion, as Councilor Perry put it, is to recommend that the ordinance be reviewed by transportation and parking to determine the scope of the ordinance and any gaps in the ordinance that fail to meet that scope. Does that?
I would agree with that addendum. Yes.
And
Okay.
Cool. So, motion made by Councilor Perry,
Seconded.
seconded by Dane Cutler. Roll call, please, Laura. Oh, sorry, we can't hear you. There you are.
Councilor Dobbs,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
Councilor Moulton.
Yes.
Member Cutler,
Yes.
and Member Moses.
yes.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. So now we can talk about the mobile food trucks. Councilor Perry, would you like to take the lead on that?
Yes. So I've done some follow-up work since our last meeting, and I'm thankful for all the discussion. Thank you all for being a part of that. My recommendation for that is to have more research and review. That there is, I don't know where to put it. There's no body that I would recommend it go to, but I do believe that we should continue this discussion in a format that includes includes the city, government, our DNA in whatever form that is, and maybe the Chamber of Commerce. So there should be bodies looking at this food truck ordinance for the next council.
Sorry, Council Milton.
I concur with that, and perhaps it could be a recommendation to the council create a special committee to look at this issue that would encompass the bodies you mentioned, the Board of Health. I thought there were some good points that were made by Amy Hutchins. She sent a I'm referring to the follow-up email that she sent November 13th that was distributed to us.
Thank you.
So if that was a motion made by Councilor Perry, I would second it.
I will make it a motion. How about that?
A motion that we recommend that the city council create a special committee to review this? Okay, I second that.
I believe that it's important enough that we could do our due diligence and have a vote.
Great. Molly?
Would it be within our purview or make sense to include in that recommendation that there be equitable representation of different constituent groups so that it's not like just restaurateurs who are part of it or just retail shops, you know? I don't know whether the commission, maybe I'm missing, like, who would this be a subset of the council that would be group, or would there be residents of the city who would be involved?
Good question. Council Perry?
How about, because we have not really thought about in depth, we just say we recommend that there's a special committee that is representative of the city. And I refer to some of the other commissions and committees I've been on. So like the reparations committee, we did talk about, we wanted someone from the youth commission. We wanted someone from the human rights commission. And I don't think that here is where we discuss what we want. But if we just state that we want it to be representative of the broader community, that would be enough to give them some guidance to actually come up with what that looks like, if that's okay.
I think that's generally been the case with special committees. You mentioned reparations, the barriers to service committee involved a number of different constituencies from the general public. So yes, I think that will happen.
Great. Okay.
Laura, do you want me to review what the motion is?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Laura, Laura, we can't hear you.
Okay, I mean, I know that it was that the city council create a special committee to look at this issue, including the Board of Health. And in Garrick's earlier motion, he'd said that he wanted to be in a format that includes the DNA and the Chamber of Commerce. So I wasn't sure if that should be rolled into or.
That's why I wanted to ask you again.
Okay, so
I would amend it to, I would make a motion that the city council create a special committee, including representatives of the government or city government, as well as various constituencies, to give us space.
Do you still specifically want to say the Board of Health, DNA, and COC, Chamber of Commerce, or?
I don't want to.
The earlier?
Yes. So I think that after talking, what Molly said is that whoever on the city council comes up with it will create the criteria of who's involved. But I think the important thing is to have representatives from both the city, the business community, and constituents.
Okay.
So let's say that. I would like to make a motion that the city council should create a committee to look at food truck ordinances that involves city government, our local businesses, and our constituent base.
Yes, I second that revised motion.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Moulton. Roll call, please.
Okay, Councilor Dobbs.
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
Councilor Moulton.
Yes.
Member Cutler.
Yes.
And Member Moses.
Yes.
Great. Well, that passes unanimously. And then the other business was just that we were going to discuss the broad outline of the final report. Councilor Moulton?
there was at least one other ordinance that Councilor Perry had said at the last meeting he was going to talk with Chief Cartledge, and I believe I'll ask Councilor Perry. You mentioned to me that you had talked to Chief Cartledge, and I think there was one ordinance that he agreed could be removed without any further need for discussion. Am I remembering that correctly?
You were remembering correctly, and I didn't know where to put this other than other business, but I did talk to Chief Cartledge and members of the police union and other officers, and the thumbing ordinance, which got some giggles. They're all comfortable with removing. But in terms of the pedestrians crossing the street ordinance, while the chief said he hasn't utilized it yet, he was cautious of removing those ordinances for unforeseen circumstances. And if you want to bring them up, when I reviewed it, I was thinking about some of the construction changes and things like that. For instance, even here in this meeting, we're talking about people traversing not in sidewalks. Like the police aren't enforcing these, but they might need to be, is my sense. And so the recommendation for the chief was, it doesn't seem to be harming anyone, so let's just leave it as it is. If anyone wants to discuss, let's do that.
Okay. Any thoughts?
Motion to propose that we still get rid of the jaywalking ordinance.
I'll second that. Or does anyone feel comfortable with that?
Which one was that one? Can you bring it up, Laura? Or
Let's see.
Just because Councilor Perry, I appreciate the due diligence you did in talking to the police chief about it, but the police chief hasn't said anything that's changed my mind about it. Saying, I don't know, maybe I want to keep that one is just not a compelling enough argument for me to say, yeah, let's maybe keep that one. I'm still firmly in favor of getting rid of the jaywalking ordinance.
Okay, 1 second.
Dane, do you remember which one specifically that was?
No, of course
Okay.
not. That would be useful.
Okay, I'm bringing up the spreadsheet. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, it's near the top. Let's see. So 312.85. So the 312.82 is the one that we're voting to recommend removal.
Yes, that's it.
But not the other two.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I don't think no, those were all linked in my mind, so it's all three. I am proposing that we suggest removal of all three.
Can we bring them up, the actual ordinances?
Because didn't Chief Cartledge just say he didn't feel comfortable removing the pedestrian crossings one?
Yes.
Right, but he
That just
didn't.
reported.
Yes, he absolutely said that. And I hear that, and I still want to recommend that we recommend removing them. Or yeah.
So this is that one.
Mostly because he didn't say why.
I'd be open to. I mean, it's just it's not a final. This isn't the decision being made right now. It's just a recommendation. So I feel comfortable with the recommendation to remove them. Councilor Perry.
Yeah. So I'm looking at, all right, 312.82 is crossing roadways. Pedestrians shall obey the direction of police officers directing traffic, and whenever there's an officer directing traffic, a traffic control signal, or a marked crosswalk within 300 feet of a pedestrian, no such pedestrians will cross a way or roadway except within the limits of that crosswalk. I don't see why we would want to remove that. It directs people to cross and limit the chances of getting hit. We're redesigning our main street because of safety. And so again, while the police chief has said he has not utilized it, I still think that it is important to have some rules of where to cross so you direct people. And that's where I'm having a conflict of removing it.
Molly?
With the ordinance as it stands, does it come with any civil fines or criminal sense of anything, or is it just like, please don't do this?
Can we get that ordinance on the screen, Laura?
I'm sorry, which one do you want on the screen? Is this the
This-
crossing roadways that he just read?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
You'll probably have to unshare the screen and then reshare a different screen.
Okay. Let's try. You guys are seeing the correct ordinance, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
crossing roadways, yes. So to answer Molly's question, I don't see any provisions for penalties. Am I missing something there, Solicitor Sewell?
Just trying to get over to the penalty section, which is chapter 40.
Looks like 31290 might have penalties for violations of pedestrian regulations.
Okay.
Just see.
I'm also confused. It says there's, when we go back to it, there's something that doesn't make sense to me in its wording.
I don't see anything in chapter 40.
I think it's in 31290, Solicitor Sewell.
Laura's correct.
Yeah, it's on the screen right now. Any person who violates
Okay.
shall be punished.
So it's Mass General Law, Chapter 90.
It's an ordinance that says, listen to what the cops say, or we'll fine you $20.
Well, it's funny because it says when there is someone present, and then it says, or there's a crosswalk or something, like whenever pedestrians shall obey the direction of police officers, and whenever there's such and such or such and such or such and such, no such pedestrian shall cross a way or roadway except within the limits of a marked crosswalk and as hereinafter provided. So does that mean that there's somewhere in the ordinances information about if an officer is directing traffic and there's no crosswalk, but there is one within 300 feet? Or no, or even if there's not a marked crosswalk within 300 feet, some other ordinance is saying what to do to cross the street when there's an officer directing traffic.
Mhm.
It feels like there's kind of a lot going on in that one sentence. And similarly, if there's a traffic control signal but no crosswalk, I don't know if that exists here, but
Council Prairie?
Yeah, so Mr. Seawall, here's what I'm wondering. If we remove this and it's just a free-for-all to Frogger our way through traffic, which I've done, um, for drivers or people who are biking, that impact feels very dangerous to me. And if someone gets hit while people are not in crosswalks, is there repercussions from removing this? If you understand my question.
Well, I think it's important to have some a law that directs people to obey police officers when they're directing traffic. That's a safety issue. I don't make decisions. I don't recommend making decisions based on whether the city is going to be liable. The only way the city can be liable is if we act unreasonably. And I just encourage, because when you act unreasonably and you injure someone else, that's called negligence, and that's the basis for liability. So I just encourage you to act reasonably, and I'm not really sure why you would want to tackle at the 11th hour and 45 minute. You want to start tackling this ordinance, which frankly is doing some good, probably not protecting much from harm, but it's certainly not hurting anybody. That's my view on this. I think it's important to at least leave in the obligation to listen to a police officer who's directing traffic.
Dane, did you have your hand up?
No, I'm stretching.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I am perfectly comfortable rescinding my motion to strike this on the grounds that Solicitor Seawald is right and it ain't explicitly broke. We don't have to try to fix it.
Okay. Makes sense. What about the two other ones that you had talked about? Oh, sorry, Council Moulton, I didn't see that.
Yes, thank you. I agree with both of the last two statements by Dane Cutler and by Solicitor Seawald. But now that I'm looking at this ordinance, I agree. Pedestrians shall obey the direction of police officers directing traffic, period. But why is the rest of the provisions here dependent on whenever there is an officer directing traffic? It shouldn't be. It's whether or not there's an officer directing traffic. If there's a traffic control signal or a marked crosswalk within 300 feet of a pedestrian, no such pedestrian shall cross a way or roadway except within the limits of the marked crosswalk. It should not be dependent, in my view, on whether there's an officer directing traffic.
Would you recommend removal of that language?
Well, I'm just asking Solicitor Seawald,
Okay, okay.
why isn't this constructed? Pedestrians shall obey the direction of police officers directing traffic, period. Whenever, and then take out the repetitive, there is an officer directing traffic clause from the rest of that or section or that ordinance. Can't hear you, Alan.
Sorry about that. I'm not here to defend this ordinance. It's not well drafted. It's hardly the pinnacle of clarity. And I totally agree with that. If you want to take out that clause that refers for the second time to an officer directing traffic, I have no problem with that.
Great.
Okay. I would make that motion then that we remove that clause. The second reference to whenever the reference to whenever there is an officer directing traffic from 31282 and leave the rest as is.
Council Perry?
Yes, wow, we're in the weeds here, but I'm looking further down at 31285, pedestrian crossings and use of roadways, which handles things when an officer isn't there. So, as Solicitor Sewell said, it's not the best crafted, but I think what they're saying is that in the first one is that if there's an officer who's directing at a space, or if there's some sort of construction or things where where an officer is present, you still should obey it. But,
Can we, Laura, can we go down to 31285, please?
Sure. Let's see.
Oh my God, you guys, I really wanted to just strike the provisions on jaywalking and hitchhiking, and I did not realize this ordinance was folded into those.
That's okay.
Okay, so I will rescind my motion. I understand, Councilor Perry, that there is then a need for a section that covers when officers are directing traffic separately from just general use of crossings and crosswalks. So I'm let's let's move on.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan.
Now, there were two. Oh, sorry, Molly, go ahead.
The screen's already, I was noticing just a lot of language of walk and wondering if we needed to change that to walk or move or ambulate or some other word, given that walking is not always how people travel. But if this is walk specific and we want it to be walk specific, then that's all good.
I guess from the perspective of someone who doesn't walk, I'm comfortable with the language of walk. I know a lot of disabled people who consider moving in a wheelchair to be a form of walking. You know, I would say, like, you want to go for a walk with me? Like I don't like correct, but I see what you're saying though. I definitely do, and so I appreciate it. But I feel comfortable with the word walk personally.
What was the
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Counselor.
what was the other ordinance, Dane, that you had suggested removing besides hitchhiking?
Jaywalking. So Laura, if you pop the spreadsheet back up, there was a list of 3. They all said recommended for removal. One was jaywalking, one was hitchhiking, and one was this construction site cop directed one. And that was the one that I was unclear about. So it's the ones that Alex Bowman did, lines 3, 4, and 5. So there's crossing roadways and thumbing. Those are the 2 that I was focused on.
and we looked at all of them, I think, just now. So
Yeah.
the crossing one was the police making you do shit. Oh,
Yep.
my bad.
Police directing you to do things. Yes.
You're my anger translator, Dane.
Yes.
And so I would, if possible, I would make a motion to accept the chief's recommendation and remove the thumbing hitchhiking ordinance, but leave the other 2 in place.
I would second that, but I want to make sure we're only removing the crossing roadways 31282 and thumbing 31282. Can we go back to that? I just want to make sure we're only removing the subsection of 31282 referring to hitchhiking.
I've got the wrong number. It's 31287. Thank you.
Okay.
31287 is thumbing. Is that right, Laura?
Yes, but I have it wrong on the spreadsheet, so we'll change that.
Gotcha. Thank you, Laura.
Okay. So we're removing 31287.
Okay.
Should we do a vote on that? Councilor Perry made the motion, I think, and Councilor Moulton seconded it. Okay, roll call, please.
Sure. Whoops, sorry. Councilor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Moulton.
Yes.
Member Cutler,
Yes.
and Member Moses.
Yes.
We remove thumbing. Huzzah.
No, we
Not yet.
we voted to recommend to move
Recommended.
thumbing.
Recommended.
Whoa, we made an official recommendation.
Nice.
Oh, guys.
All right. Well,
Poor Alan. I've wanted to ask Alan this whole time if every ordinance committee has been as sort of scattershot as ours has been, but I've been afraid of the answer, so I haven't asked.
You did ask. The last one had a more focused charge. And if you read you'll see it immediately.
Yeah, because that
If
was
you-
in 2020, because it was all about like, let's get racist ordinances out of here.
Yeah.
That was their like
So
their
it was
mission.
much more focused than
Yeah.
than this, which was, much more, I would call it freewheeling, not scattered.
Freewheeling. That makes us sound like
Bob Dylan.
happy
Bob
hippies.
Dylan. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I was gonna say hippies, yeah. Yeah, okay. Anywho.
Okay, so the broad outline of the final report was the next agenda item. Let's see. Alan, do you want to talk about the outline of the report, I guess, since you're going to be the one writing it?
Well, I'd be happy to. Let me just get into a different view here so I can see everybody. This afternoon, I went through the last report and sort of envisioned how I would scale that back, because there was a lot about the charge from the city council and the resolution that the city council adopted. But my intention is to do something very similar to what I did last time.
Great.
And, it's my intention, hopefully, to get that done next week. And so the next meeting, we will be reviewing a draft report. That would be my hope.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds great, but whether
Sorry.
I actually get it done or not is...
Is there anything that we can do to help? Like, would you like me to write anything about the snow ordinance? Like anything that you need?
I don't know
help?
yet.
Okay.
I'm not that far along.
Okay, well, if you do need...
I'm going to be, my process is I'm going to go through all the minutes of all your meetings, at least scan through them, and because I will discuss when you met, who appeared before you, who you contacted for. If just read the last report, you'll see
Okay.
that there's a lot of that detail in there, and so I'll have to, and if I come upon something that I could use some help with, I'll certainly let you know.
Yeah, please do.
I will do that.
Molly, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I have to head off. I apologize, but thank
Oh,
you.
no problem.
I'll look forward to next time.
See you next time.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Molly. And also, sorry, Councilor Perry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that something that Councilor Dubs and I talked about, Solicitor Seawald, this week was if you need us to meet with you to help, we can pop over and do that before we present it to the entire body. So just want to state that publicly as I'm offering myself to more commitments.
And also, sorry, Alan, were you going to say something? You're muted. Yeah.
I was going to say, if the chair would like a preview before I send it to Laura, I'm happy to do that. Or if the chair and the vice chair want to take a look at it before it goes out more publicly, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, but you're not I don't want to create a subcommittee here to help me, and because then we're going to have to start doing things in public, and I want to write this in the quietude of my desk, and I don't do this in public.
That's
We
fine.
support you. We support you in the quietude of your desk.
Thank you. Which is not all that quiet, but thank you.
And so our next, not tomorrow, our next city council meeting is tomorrow, but the next meeting after that is the 18th of December. So are we thinking that can be a goal date, a goal date for presenting this final report on December 18th? Is that our goal?
We said the 18th? That's a
Oh,
Thursday. We usually
oh,
meet Wednesdays.
oh
Is
no,
it the
I'm
18th?
sorry. What I meant was
That's
so
the council would get the report on the 18th.
yeah,
Got it.
that's what I meant. Yeah, because Counselor Alex Jarrett reached out to me today, and he asked me if we would be presenting on the 18th, and I said yes. But if we have to change that, I can do that. But I felt like we can probably do that by the 18th if you all feel comfortable with that,
Got it.
because that would be our last meeting with the full council before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alan.
I'm just wondering whether it makes sense to do the presentation to this council or to the next council.
Okay. Yeah, that is a question that could be asked. I don't
Yeah,
really know the answer.
You have till the end of the year to file your report, and I think it would make more sense to present this to the councils who are actually going to be taking this up, not to a council with several members who, including at least one on the committee who's not going to be taking this up. So my suggestion would be not to present it on the 18th and wait for the new council to be for the new council session and present it then. I think that's what we've done in the past. I may be wrong about that, but maybe Laura has some information, not at your fingertips, but would be able to scrounge that information up at some point. But I would think that you may need another meeting after the 18th to finalize this report, because even if I present it next week, and at your next meeting there'll be changes to be made, and then you're going to have to vote on a final report. So I think it's going to take 2 meetings with the report.
Okay. I thank you for saying that. Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I think last time the term of the special committee that was meeting was extended till March too. So I think you're right. There may well have been a new council seated by the time they turned in their report.
It got a late start because of COVID.
Right. Because they got a late start.
Chris Stratton, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there any procedural issue with either, my incoming colleagues not being able to hear this before January 5th, formally, or whether this body will not exist after January 5th and could not report? Is there any issue there, or basically it's just people talking to people, so as long as open meeting law is met, it's not an issue?
We officially cease to exist on December 31st.
This body, and but its members can certainly appear if requested by the council. It could appear, and
you could summon us, is what he's saying.
I would vote for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to need the time, and so are you guys. You're going to need the time. I don't think that's going to be ready for the 18th.
That's fine. I just kind of wanted to throw that question out there, and I'll tell Alex that we'll do that. That we'll wait on that. Thank you, Councilor Perry.
And I would just chime in to say that I agree with that. I don't want to rush this. And then maybe on the 18th, we just do a brief discussion about what we talked about, just bullet points and issues, I think, because we want to let folks know what we've talked about. There's a lot of things that we have discussed, food trucks, snow ordinances that are on people's minds, as Chris said. So we can just say what we've been working on, and all of our meetings are recorded and our minutes are there. So for our incoming counselors, that'll give them some time to kind of read this. I know that for the Reparations Commission's report, we had a lot of pages. And looking at this body, even in this discussion about jaywalking, we went back and forth in the minutiae and details. So I want to give this new council a chance to really dive in and kind of digest what we've talked about.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that idea. Thank you. Okay. I wanted to mention that I will not be able to attend a meeting next Wednesday, December 10th, because I'll be on a plane. So we didn't schedule it yet, but if there was going to be a meeting, I wouldn't be able to make that meeting. That's the only conflict I have until the end of the year. Councilor Moulton?
And we had, I thought we had talked about not having a meeting December 10th because the Finance Committee is having a budget listening session. And I think we had then set it for the 17th.
I thought we were on for, I have it on my calendar that we're on the 17th.
Okay, sorry about that. Then I just wanted to mention it because I wasn't sure. But sounds great.
Okay.
I'll be back by the 17th. So
Do you have another meeting that night, Counselor Dubs?
I do not actually, but thank you for asking. Yeah, the rest of the capital planning meetings are on Mondays, so I'll be good. Yeah,
So then we're looking at 6 o'clock on the 17th.
works for me.
Works for me.
Wonderful.
We're almost there, everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say this feels good. Like I think we're finally getting somewhere. It's been a long journey.
I feel a little farther away than you guys do.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
Listen, dude, you're the one who volunteered to do the homework.
I don't know if volunteered is the thing.
Well, it's my job.
Molly and I were very much under the impression that we were going to be tasked with writing this report.
Oh, great. Thank
So
you.
we were like super excited by you volunteering to.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were super excited to actually do it.
We were not. We were not excited to do it. We were talking about how excited we were to not do it.
All right. Well, I'm glad to add to your excitement.
Thank you all. I will make a motion to adjourn. I like hanging out with you, but I have another meeting after this.
All
Awesome.
right, second.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night, Alan.
Roll call, please, Laura.
Sure. Counselor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Moulton,
Yes.
and Member Cutler.
Let's get out of here. Good night, everybody.
See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thanks.